Hi, this is one of the digital slides from the Joint Pathology Centre's online collection of pathology slides. All I know is that this is tissue from a horse. So we have two bits of tissue, and we can see that there's a nodule here that looks supercellular and out of place. In terms of the organ that we're looking at, we have some hairless skin. So there's some acellular keratin and all the keratinocytes differentiating up. We can tell that it was from a horse with pigment in its skin because the cells here have some melanin in them, all these kind of darker granules. So now that we've established where we are, we can head over to the main event if I can work out how the zooming works. Sorry, that was probably really horrible filming. So we have this really cellular area here that's disrupting the normal architecture of the tissue. So we have to zoom in and ask ourselves what kind of cells are here. The answer to that question is we've got lots of inflammatory cells. These ones here with the darker nuclei, the round nuclei, are lymphocytes. Then we've got a little population of these chaps here who are really quite beautiful in horses. They've got pink granules in their cytoplasm, so these are eosinophils. And then between them we've got these rather big angry looking cells with quite large, I like to call them potato-like nuclei, because they look a little bit like potatoes with the eyes in them. These are macrophages, so the big cells that like to eat stuff. And I spotted some on the way in, but we'll just see if we can find some more. Some of these macrophages are frustrated by the fact that they can't eat whatever they're trying to eat. They form these really big multinucleated giant cells. So this cell is formed by the fusion of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 other cells of these macrophages. So what these macrophages are trying to do is they're trying to wall off whatever was insulting them or causing this inflammation. It's a little bit of a mitosis here. Look at that's a cell dividing just there. They're trying to wall it off from the rest of the tissue and stop it from spreading any further. That looks like a bit of a weird cell, doesn't it? This massive nucleus, and I wonder what that could be. So the macrophages is trying to wall off whatever's causing this inflammation. They're obviously having a bit of trouble doing it though. So let's see if we can find out what's causing this inflammation. The fact that there are eosinophils here to me suggests that it might be a parasite of some kind. There are some slightly odd structures, like this one here. I mean, this one here looks almost as if you can see the multinucleated giant cell kind of eating something a bit strange. I'm going to reserve judgment on what it is for the moment though, until we find a better section. See, there's another odd thing here. This doesn't look like horse to me. Okay, so we have something here that is convincingly not a horse. So I just had the bright idea to head on over to the other section of tissue, and here we have a nematode. We can just about make out its cuticle here, and then maybe these cells represent gastrointestinal tract. This here is another nematode. It looks a bit more like a larva than an adult because it has all of this kind of basophilic stippling. It tends to be a characteristic of larval nematodes rather than adult nematodes when they're in section. Oh, hello. Whoops, wrong way. Here's one. That's a nice one. I think this is probably another nematode here, just slightly different. And here's another one. So I'm now convinced that this is a nematode infection in the skin of a horse, causing a granuloma, which is what we call an aggregate of macrophages with lymphocytes around the outside. So given that it's in the skin of the horse, and also slightly the look of the nematodes, I'd say this is a nematode called Halocephalobus gingivalis. These nematodes are not normally parasites of horses. They're opportunistic pathogens that get into the horse through cuts in either the mucous membrane, so the mouth, or in the skin, and establish an infection. But these nematodes normally complete their life cycle without having a host species and live in rotting material, so dead leaves and soil and things like that. But unfortunately they can get into horses, and they establish these infections usually in the skin or in the mucous membranes in the oral cavity, but they can also travel a little bit further, and I've seen slides of them infecting kidneys and even the brain, and setting up similar inflammatory lesions within horses. So I guess they can be pretty serious business, but not something that's going to be transmissible from one horse to another directly. So I hope that was an interesting little journey through a slide, looking at the different changes that we can get with disease in tissue.